There was a feeling in the air, a special kind of excitement, every time summer rolled around and families packed their cars for a road trip. The aroma of gasoline mixed with the smell of fried food wafting from roadside diners created a unique tapestry of scents you could almost taste. You remember the thrill of the open road, the winding highways beckoning you to explore. As your parents would say, "Let's get going, the adventure awaits." But those glorious summer vacations weren't just about the journey, they were also about the stops along the way. Let me take you back to a time when family vacations were about shared experiences, laughter, and the simple joy of discovery. As we take this trip down memory lane, let's look back at 5 classic roadside stops that shaped our American family vacations, a countdown that invites us to remember the nostalgia of the times we cherished. At number 5 on our list, we have the classic roadside diner. Picture the vibrant neon signs promising home cooking and open 24 hours. Who could resist a slice of that homemade pie, the way it glistened under the glass dome on the counter? The clattering of dishes and the sizzling of bacon on the grill provided a soundtrack to our meals, while the waitresses, with their friendly smiles and starched uniforms, made us feel right at home. You might recall the iconic Coca-Cola advertisements that adorned the walls, bringing a sense of familiarity and warmth amid the bustling roadside. The first bite of a juicy burger, the sound of the ice cream machine whirring away in the background, and the laughter from the family booth next to you still echo in our hearts. It was a moment we shared together, a fleeting pause in our journey, yet one we held dear. Next up, at number 4, are the charming roadside motels, each one with its own unique name and character. Remember those brightly colored signs that promised vacancy in big, bold letters? Arriving after a long day of driving, there was something comforting about the check-in process, the clinking of keys, and the vintage decor that seemed to tell a story of its own. The small pools that sparkled under the sun were perfect for a quick afternoon dip while the adults unpacked the car and settled in. Little did we know, each motel was filled with its own quirky charm. Some had wild animal statues strategically placed in the front yard, while others had beautiful floral wallpaper that made you feel as though you stepped into another time. You could almost feel the soft, scratchy blankets on the beds, a strange comfort only a roadside motel could provide. Those cozy rooms were sanctuaries that welcomed families as they traveled from one adventure to another. Coming in at number 3, we arrive at tourist traps, the whimsical attractions that filled our childhood imaginations with wonder. Who could forget those giant roadside sculptures, like the iconic Paul Bunyan, standing mightily next to Babe the Blue Ox? Or how about the tantalizing signs for the world's largest ball of twine? Each sign greeted us as we drove past, promising a fun stop to stretch our legs and grab a snapshot. You remember the excitement as we begged for a moment to pull over, the thrill of standing beside these monumental attractions as Mom snapped photos for the family album. The cotton candy in our hands felt sticky and sweet, a treat only fitting for such extraordinary stops. The laughter and joy of silly souvenirs transformed those breaks into treasured memories that cemented our family bonds. At number 2, we look toward the local roadside markets bursting with fresh produce and homegrown goods. As we pulled into these markets, the sweet scent of ripe peaches and strawberries greeted us. There was a rhythm to it, the sounds of birds chirping, vendors chatting, and families gathering around vibrant displays of fruits and vegetables. Remember the thrill of choosing that perfect ear of corn for dinner, or those juicy tomatoes that seemed to jump right off the vine? Our hands felt dirted from picking, but our spirits soared with joy as we took those tasty treasures back to the car. These stops connected us to the land and the hard-working farmers who fed us. Each bite held the taste of summer, bringing us closer to the simple pleasures of life on the road and the routines of our everyday meals. And finally, we arrive at our number 1 cherished roadside stop, the family-run motel. You remember how they offered more than just a place to sleep. They were the heart of the family vacation experience. The husband and wife teams that ran them often greeted us with warm smiles, treating us like long-lost relatives. We all knew how the sound of the creaky screen door welcomed us in as we walked past rows of rooms with names like the Bluebird or the Sunshine Suite. A night spent in one of those cozy rooms felt like a world away from home. the walls adorned with handmade quilts honoring the classic Americana vibe. Those motels, with their small lobbies filled with memories, offered more than just comfort, they offered connection. Do you remember how the owners would share stories of their family's history, or how they'd recommend the best local diner for breakfast the next day? It was such a simple touch, yet it connected us to the communities we visited. And in the evenings, families gathered by the pools, sharing laughter while watching the sunset, casting golden hues over the iconic signs of their motels. As we gaze back at these treasured roadside stops that shaped American family vacations, it's clear that they offered us more than just a pit stop or a bed for the night. They were the backdrop to our cherished memories, woven together by the laughter, smells, and sounds of days gone by. Each destination, from bustling diners to quirky roadside attractions, created lasting imprints that still warm our hearts today. So, as we remember those days, I invite you to think of your own treasured memories. Was there a diner that held a special place in your heart, or a family-run motel that welcomed you time and time again? Share your stories in the comments below. Let's reminisce together with all these shared threads of our past. Road trips may have changed over the years, but the love we shared on those journeys remains a testament to our rich American experience. Each stop we made, every laugh shared, became an essential part of our tapestry of family vacations, one that we will carry with us forever. Do you remember how the family-run motels often had their own little quirks? Maybe you stayed at one that had a delightful garden blooming with bright marigolds and petunias, each flower a testament to the love and care put into the place. We were always drawn to those gardens, bursting with color, often promising a view of the sunset from the porch swing that creaked gently in the wind. Not only was it a place to unwind after a long day of driving, but it also felt like visiting family. And those lovely touches carried into the interiors too. Homespun potpourri sat on the tables, filling the air with scents of cinnamon and clove, a reminder that we were welcomed with open arms into someone's world. There was something magical about those evenings spent sitting outside, trading stories with our loved ones against the soft glow of string lights swaying above us. I can still hear the faint sounds of laughter that seemed to drift from every room, mingling with the warm summer air. Sometimes, the owners would gather with us, sharing tales of the road, of travelers like us who had crossed their thresholds, each family a tiny thread in the fabric of their lives. You remember how those conversations would stretch on as the stars twinkled overhead, our bellies full from the diner fare we had savored just hours before? At number 1, the family-run motels were often surrounded by a constellation of other elements that contributed to the vacation magic. Who can forget the delightful glow of the neon signs illuminating the night, each hue beckoning weary travelers? These motels not only provided shelter, but became the canvas upon which family adventures were painted. The soft toilets, the oddly patterned carpets that felt plush underfoot, and the faint smell of furniture polish felt like symbols of resilience. They stood tall amid the shifting scenery of childhood dreams becoming reality, each night at a different motel a new chapter in our family's story. And then there were the adventures beyond the motels, the memories staying with us long after we returned home. Remember the time you visited that quirky little town, known for its ice cream shop that served over 100 flavors? Fudge Ripple, bubblegum, and the infamous Swamp Surprise, if edible. You swore there had to be a few secret ingredients in there, producing flavors you couldn't quite place. You'd run in, balloons bobbing in the breeze, receiving your scoop on those waffle cones that melted in the summer sun, a treat that felt like winning the lottery. You can still taste that mixture of sweet and sticky as you hurriedly took your first bite, trying not to let that blue raspberry swirl melt all over your hands. A favorite sign along your travels might have read, "Welcome to the world's largest roadside fruit stand." Do you recall pulling over with the promise of sweet, juicy sun-ripened watermelons and local honey? Each of us selecting vine-ripened tomatoes, the kind that had that perfect homegrown fragrance, brought a piece of the journey home. The folks behind the stands greeted us with warm smiles, sharing stories of how the crops had been tended. It wasn't just produce, but an experience that connected us to the very land we traveled through. The ritual of choosing our snacks, with the crisp sounds of packing paper crinkling in our hands, became part of our family tradition. Of course, let's not forget the treasure hunts that awaited us in every small-town gift shop that dotted our path. It felt like entering a wonderland, filled with trinkets that spoke to our hearts. You might remember the shelves lined with handcrafted pottery and local artisan crafts. The excitement of choosing just the right souvenir, a miniature painted cactus or a wind-up toy that would hop around the table like it was alive, often turned into a declaration of what you adored that summer. Those moments warmed our hearts and made even the smallest towns feel like grand destinations. Our road trips were also full of little rituals, stopping to fill the gas tank and checking the car for the essentials, maybe a stop at the perfect roadside picnic area nestled under sprawling trees, their rustling leaves inviting us to lay out a blanket. Do you recall the satisfying crunch of potato chips, wrapped in colorful foil bags, as the sunlight danced on the surface of the cool, refreshing lemonade? These simple experiences became treasured memories. We shared stories and snacks, listened to Dad's radio tuned to the crackling tunes of the 50s and 60s, and felt the warm sun on our faces, the perfect antidote to any worry. As we meander down memory lane, let's remember the inspiration of family-run motels is still relevant today. While many of those quaint spots have transformed or faded away, the spirit of those roadside adventures remains alive in hearts around the country. Each family vacation we took was a mosaic pieced together by those individual moments, little shrines of nostalgia where the backdrop might have changed, but the essence of love and shared experiences remain intact. So, have you thought about that quirky roadside museum? Maybe there was an old gas station turned into a treasure trove of history, filled with vintage posters of an America we all miss? You remember stepping inside, the sound of the doorbell ringing and the musty smell of yesteryears wafting through the air? You might still recall the aisle lined with various memorabilia from the Golden Age, from rusty license plates to gas pumps waiting to tell their stories of adventure. Those little stops were like magic portals to a different time. Their walls held echoes of laughter, the excitement of curious minds wandering, and families connecting through shared explorations. As we reflect on these classic stops and experiences from our family vacations, it's difficult not to feel that tug of nostalgia. From the roadside diners packed with delicious home-style meals, to the motels that offered a genuine sense of belonging, to the colorful stalls and whimsical attractions that fueled our imaginations. These threads create a rich tapestry of memories that bind us together, capturing the essence of American life during those cherished decades. If you wander back to those memories, one could only hope to revisit that simpler time, fueled by the hope that a journey is more than just reaching a destination. Each stop along the way gives a space to connect with one another and to learn from the heart of America. With bittersweet joy, let's embrace those memories and reflect on them together, sharing those rich experiences that have shaped our lives. So, dear friends, I invite you once again to lift the veil on these fond recollections and think of your own stories. Is there a long-lost diner you can still picture in your mind, its bright red booths and friendly waitstaff? Love to hear what delights and adventures filled your family vacations too. Let's gather around the metaphorical campfire of remembrance and paint a vivid picture of what those days meant to us. Comment below with your memories, and let's celebrate the cherished moments that are woven into the fabric of the American family road trip.